Hello and welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I'm Eva Maria, your Monday hostess for this season, and this is like my 20-something take trying to film this video. You know what? I have notes. Screw the notes. Not going to use the notes. I'm just going to wing it. If you could only see all of the outtakes for this, oh my god, you would be like, really, girl? Really? I don't know what it is, if it's some planetary alignment or what the heck's going on. I'm having real difficulty tonight. For some reason, I'm not like on my game. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this video has been such a difficult one to make, and I don't know why, because it's not the subject matter. It's not flowing for some reason. But I'm here and I'm winging it, and I'm going to do the best that I can. So with that, again, we're discussing the element of Earth, and Earth is a very yin polar element. In terms of like the tarot and the playing cards, Earth as an element is conveyed by, in the playing cards, diamonds, and in the tarot, what are called, sometimes they're called coins, sometimes they're called pentacles, sometimes they're called discs, but you get the idea. The elemental spirits of Earth are the gnomes, but when you hear the word, the title gnome, I hope it doesn't make you think of little garden gnomes. From my understanding, in lore, gnomes are very wise, and I get the sense that they're creators. I see them as making things. I think where gnomes come across to me as makers of things, where that kind of comes from is from a sort of twofold association that I have with them, in that when you think about the earth itself, things growing up out of the earth, things being created in that respect, and then there's a train of thought that kind of I would equate with gnomes, in that, being so close to the earth, you think of, stones being in the earth, and then you sort of think of, metals, ores, things that are mined from the earth, and then by extension you start thinking of, what are those metals, used for, and then you start thinking of sort of blacksmithing, at least I do anyway. So I think that's how I equate gnomes with being creative. The wisdom aspect, from what I understand, their lifespan is a lot longer than ours. I would think that, and I get the impression that, gnomes do have quite a bit of wisdom accumulated through their long lifespans. So that said, let's continue on. So I think most pagans, most magical practitioners, would equate or associate the element of earth with the direction of north. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone sort of connecting earth with a different direction, though I know that's not impossible. There are exceptions to everything. Where colors are concerned, representative colors for earth, I think one of the most popular ones is green. The other, probably more popular one, would be brown, or, various shades of green or brown also. But there are some who go by an older correspondence of colors. There's an older set of correspondence colors for the directions, and according to that older system, black is equated with earth. But again, there are exceptions. There may be people that feel some other color, for whatever reason, speaks to them of the element of earth, and you know what? That's totally fine. I'm not going to say there is a right or wrong or answers. I'm a big advocate for go where you're led. Your magic is for you. It is not for everybody else. But that aside, that totally aside, I'd like to speak in regard to stones, herbs, and metals. where these three are concerned, here's where they get a little tricky with correspondences in relation to the earth. All herbs, all stones, and all metals essentially fall under the association of earth, because they all spring from the earth and are very connected to the earth. But there are some, I think, in particular, that really, at least to me, really speak of earth. In terms of stones, I feel that the common stones really feel very earthy to me. And I think that's because common stones are literally made of compressed earth. They solidify, after so many, God knows how many years. As for metals, the same thing. All metals come from the earth. They're all mined out of the earth. But the one that feels very, very earth associative to me is iron. And where herbs are concerned, roots particularly feel very extremely earthy to me, very earth associative, because they are literally growing in the ground, in the soil. It's good coffee. Anyway, at this point in the video, I'd like to talk about the correspondences of aspects of life or situations or themes that may relate to earth as an element. I'm going to list for you some that just readily come to mind. Now, these are not necessarily all of them, but these are those that are very much, at least at the forefront of my focus and consciousness right now. Things such as, or themes such as, home, domesticity, for example, in terms of domestic relationships, domestic life, domestic tasks, stability, finances, career, resources, things that one needs in order to survive and thrive. Also maternity, motherhood in particular. And this is because there is a strong association with mothers historically, and women in particular, being like the homemakers, the housekeepers, and that is the center of domestic life. So, motherhood does definitely come to the fore of my mind as an associative theme relating to earth. And as far as magics go, there are many different kinds of magics that I would say are earth-oriented. For example, kitchen witchery as a whole, it's so domestically oriented, so domestically associative, that entire genre of witchcraft, I would just put kitchen witchery right in there. Foot track magic, where one would take soil from a footprint made by someone and use that in workings to influence that person in a particular way, that is very earth associative. Working with trees, again, very earth associative. Crystal work naturally would fall under, or it would be in association with earth. It would fall under the genre of elemental magics where earth is concerned. What else can I think of? Anything to do with fertility, anything to do with family, ancestor work as well. These are the ones that come most readily to mind. Grounding work, I listed that. That's so obvious. I don't know why it didn't just come to my mind now that I'm winging it. Work with dirts. Okay, a lot of times people work with dirt such as like graveyard dirt, crossroads dirt, church dirt, etc. The creation of magical objects from clay. The creation of Allrons and mandragores. I'm not going to go into what those are. You can look that up. Some people may not call them mandragores, they may call them mandrakes after the root. But that is very obviously earth associative because, again, it's work with roots. So That would definitely fall into the genre of earth workings. Any kind of magics that relate to buying, selling, cleansing, protecting a home, because it's so domestically oriented. It has to do with where you live, where you call home. Root chakra work, that would fall under this category. I would consider also the casting of circles in particular. But then by extension also any physical act that is done in any kind of magical workings, because earth relates to physicality. And where the casting of the circle is concerned, while you don't always delineate an actual circle by necessarily like scratching a circle into the ground or painting a circle, or laying down a rope or whatever, because you are acting it out in a physical space and because you are sort of marking out a sacred boundary, I guess you could say, from the physical plane, I would consider that earth associative as well. At least an earthy aspect of magic or ritual. You may agree or disagree with me on some of these correspondences, and that's totally cool. But I think this is about all I have for you now. Again, I've been having trouble with the flow of this video, and I don't know why, but I hope that this final copy, this final edit, is one that will serve you well and introduce this topic well. If you have anything you'd like to share or add, if you want to mention anything that maybe I left out, or if you want to talk about any of the correspondences or aspects of Earth that I mentioned, feel free to comment below. I love to hear from you. I always love to hear from you. And with that, I'm going to wish you all blessed be and ashe. And until next week, until our next exchange, you all stay awesome. And bye-bye for now. Let's hope that next week's video is not going to be so problematic for me.